Hey guys, it's Gabby. Welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I have 15 striping tape nail hacks. And if you don't know what striping tape is, it's basically a mini roll of tape that you can use for nail art. And guys, it makes getting those sharp, clean lines in your nail designs so much easier, which is why I pretty much use this stuff all the time. But yeah, I hope this video helps you guys out. And let's just get right into the first hack, which is using a quick dry top coat. I honestly have no clue why I didn't do this from the beginning, but I used to use a regular top coat and wait probably like 30 minutes before using the striping tape. But now that I use a quick dry top coat, it normally takes about 10 to 15 minutes until my nail is completely dry and ready to use the striping tape. Which leads us to hack number 2. So it's really important to make sure that your base is dry, and there's 2 ways that I like to check this. You can use your finger and just run it along your nail to see if it's dry, or you can actually take a piece of tape and put it kind of in the corner of your nail or somewhere where it's not that noticeable just in case it isn't dry enough, and you'll be able to see if it removes any polish or leaves a dent when you peel off the tape. Once you know your nails are completely dry, you can just place the tape on for whatever design you're doing. And I do just use my fingers to place the tape, sometimes tweezers, it really just depends. But either way, you want to make sure you smooth down the tape when you're done, just to make sure no polish can get underneath. The next tip is the most important out of all of these. You want to make sure you take the tape off as soon as possible because you do want the polish to still be wet. So this is in real time. I had it on for probably like 5 seconds after I finished painting, took it off, and as you can see, it gave me a quick and easy nail look. So another tip, you want to make sure that your tape is long enough. So as you can see, this kind of meets at the edge of my nail. So I really don't have anything to grab on when I'm trying to remove the tape. So just make sure your tape is bigger than your nail so that it hangs off. Whenever I'm doing nail art, I like to have my materials ready to go. So I like to kind of guess how many pieces of striping tape I need, go ahead and cut those out and just have them laying on my desk or whatever surface I'm working on. That way I can easily grab the tape whenever I need it and not have to worry about stopping to cut a new piece. This next nail hack just makes striping tape less stressful because, like I said, you do want to work quickly. So sometimes when I have bigger shapes or a bigger area that I'm using, I just like to do one side at a time and just remove the striping tape as I go. So basically I'm creating an outline and then I'll go back in and fill in whatever shape it is. And it just, again, makes it so you don't have to worry about your polish drying too fast. You can work quickly, but then take your time afterwards. That didn't make sense, but this is better explained if you just watch it. And I do use a pretty small brush when I fill in the remaining area. You can use a bigger one. I just feel like the smaller one gives me more control and I don't accidentally go out of the lines or anything like that. And if it ends up looking bumpy, don't worry because the top coat will just smooth everything out. The next tip is to try to use opaque colors just because it makes this whole process a lot easier. That way you just paint on one coat, remove your tape, and you're done. But I know not all polish is that opaque, so I will be giving you guys tips and tricks for that as well. Okay, so if you're following all these steps and your nail polish still messes up, or maybe you leave the tape on a little bit too long, you could just use a toothpick to kind of just push any mistakes back into place. And I do this all the time, especially because I just get so focused on the tiniest little mistake, which is definitely a problem, but it just works so well because your base is already dry, so you could just simply push it back, and after you do that, it looks like it was never there. This next hack is so subtle, but at the same time I feel like it makes a huge difference. So after you apply your polish and you're ready to peel off your tape, you want to make sure that you pull the tape going towards the nail polish. So right here the polish is on the left of the tape, so I'm pulling it towards the left, and here I should have pulled it toward the right, but instead I went to the left again. So it actually ended up dragging the polish away and giving me those little lines and just a rough edge overall. This next nail hack is great if you want to use a polish that's more on the sheer side and takes 2 or 3 coats to get full coverage. So what I do is just paint the polish on like I normally would and then remove the tape, even though you can still see the base color through that. And then once that first layer is dry, I'll place another piece of tape in the same spot and then paint on the second layer. And this is so nice because it lets you build up the color that you're using without having to let it dry on the tape, which is what you don't want. And you could do this 2 times, 3 times. It really just depends on the color that you're using. I personally wouldn't do this with a polish that takes maybe 4 or even 5 coats to be opaque, just because that takes too long. I'm not doing it. Okay, so moving on to the next nail hack, it is to sponge on the color. So here you can see I'm applying glitter and I'm just going in and applying as many coats just to get it opaque, and it ends up really globby, and this is going to take forever to dry. But instead you want to just use a makeup sponge and sponge on the color. So this is good for glitter nail polish and also nail polish that isn't opaque in one coat. And this is pretty much another option for my previous nail hack. So what you're going to do is take a makeup sponge and apply the polish onto the sponge. So for glitter polish, it's going to soak up that clear nail polish and leave you with more glitter for your nail. and that way you could just sponge it on and you get way more coverage doing it this way. So once the polish is soaked in and it looks like this, you can press it onto your nail in the area that you want. And I'll normally repeat this one more time to get full coverage, so I'll just refill my sponge, let the polish soak in, and then dab that onto my nail. So if you're doing this with a normal nail color, then you're just going to apply it to the sponge, dab it on your nail, and you do let it dry in between each layer, which I know I said don't let it dry, but this is the one time it's okay because the sponge is pretty much going to push down on the striping tape, so nothing's going to get underneath, and it allows you to build up the color. And it doesn't just have to be with sheer nail polish. You can also do this method with opaque polish. It's really just a personal preference. I like to just paint it on. I feel like it's quicker and not as messy, but when you do sponge it on, it does give you a more even application and also a thinner layer of polish, so that's nice too. These next two nail hacks are so good if you're looking to fix some mistakes you make. So right here I'm just doing a half nail tip sort of design, and as you can see, I went over the striping tape, leaving these two random blobs on the other side. So the first hack is to take some nail polish remover and gently, like barely grazing the nail, you're gonna wipe that off. And I'll do this a little bit at a time just so I'm not smearing the color everywhere. And you also don't want to dig your brush down too hard because it will take off that white polish. And I only use a tiny bit of acetone when I do this. You don't want your brush to be too wet because again, it'll take off that white base. And look at that, it's like nothing even happened. It's a game changer. So this next hack is, again, you messed up, you're sad. Here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna take your first color and cover whatever area is messed up. And this can be a little difficult if you're working with a very light base color and then a darker color with the striping tape, but you could do 1 or 2 coats to make sure it's completely covered. Add your top coat, and again, what mistake? I don't see it. Can you see it? Because I mean, well, you might a tiny bit, but like I always say, nobody's gonna be that close to your nail anyway. They're not gonna see it, they're not gonna know. Moving on to the next tip, and this is when you're using striping tape as the actual design, so you're gonna leave it on your nail. And honestly, I don't do this often because with normal nail polish, it's just not gonna last long. But to help a little bit, you can make sure the striping tape is cut slightly shorter than your nail. So here it's meeting at the edge, and this is more likely to peel up after probably only a few hours. So you want to make sure it's not completely on the edge of your nail and that it's laying on the actual nail polish. So I'm trying to show you that right here on the side. But after that, you could just seal it in with a top coat or even 2 layers of top coat. That might help a little bit. And yeah, that is it. I hope this video was helpful. As always, if you have more tips or tricks, feel free to share them down below. And hopefully you learned at least one new thing in this video. And I will be doing more nail hack related videos, trying nail hacks, giving you guys nail hacks and things like that. So yeah, with that, I will talk to you in my next video. Bye.